3, 2, let's go. Christo? Franziska?
What time is it?
Sorry.
You been set up, Ollie, for a while?
Yeah, just a little bit.
So,
Okay.
welcome back to
Welcome
this
back.
episode. Now,
We made it.
this is actually very timely out of time because we wanted to talk to you a little bit today about being on time, and clearly we are slightly 2 hours behind schedule. Now, the reason why I wanted to share this concept and then I wanted to ask you a little bit your take on it is I've been watching Inside Bill's Brain. It's a show about Bill Gates. It's amazing, and obviously that man is incredible.
I've been hearing about it. I haven't seen it yet.
It's awesome. And one of the things that his assistant, I believe, said is that Bill Gates is 100% on time, 100% of the time. He's always on time, basically. And it made me think, and it made me realize that, wow, like, I'm not always on time, actually. And I have a little bit of an excuse. I always think I grew up in Switzerland, everything is on time, so now I'm rebelling against it. But I don't really like that.
Is that what it is?
Well, it's an excuse, right?
Right.
I think I'm rebelling against the Swiss timeliness. So I wanted to ask you actually what your thoughts are about being on time and being late, because I do think it's a really bad habit.
I think there's two parts to it. I think there's part, if you're late for something for yourself, it's almost like slightly disrespecting yourself. If you're late for someone else, it's like you're disrespecting them. So like, if you're late to a meeting with someone else, it's kind of like you're like thinking your time's more precious than that person's time. Also, if it's team members' time, well, you're wasting your own money and resources because they're sitting around waiting for you. So it's like, you know, it's kind of like doing a poop on their time a little bit. And if you're late for yourself, I think also it just means it's almost like you can't trust yourself. You know, like like in a way, it's like, oh, will I even be there, or will I be on time, or will I just vary off on something else? And it kind of, there are lots of ways. There's lots of friends of mine that are in business, like kind of high level achieving guys. A lot of something they often say is how you do one thing's how you do everything.
Yeah.
So it might be like, oh, the details of the time, I'm late to to a meeting, but you're also, when it comes to managing your own cash or savings, you're a bit sloppy with, a bit like there's little things that relate across completely different, seemingly unrelated areas. And it could be like how are you with showing up to yoga classes?
Well, I think that is the paradox. I go to yoga, which is a practice to feel grounded, and I'm always rushing in, with my I'm always the last one.
Frantic.
I'm sort of coming in super frantic, because I'm always like, okay, I have 2 more minutes to get some work done, and then I run, and that's
okay. So this could be a
wrong,
little
right?
Routine, little habit for you to change, and that will then
Great
roll
idea.
out and change in other areas.
Yeah,
do the
great
30-day challenge where you try and be on time.
Early, maybe.
Early for yoga, 5 minutes early, so you can sit there, you can be zen, you can be relaxed, so you don't get all frantic trying to make it before, because I know they've even locked the door on you.
They have
sometimes.
No, but not because of me. I think
no, you're too
late.
late. Yeah.
They're on the door and they're like, she's coming late. She's out.
Yes, so there we go.
I agree.
Yeah, good.
So I think how you can maybe do it as a challenge. I like the challenge bit. I'm going to do my own challenge, and it's the end of the year. It's a great way to get into the new year with new challenges. And if we want to do resolutions, I don't believe so much in resolutions, but I will do that. Always be on time. For you in your business, you might also, something we've done here is we just start the meetings on time no matter what. We have team meetings here, and if let's say there is 7 people in the meeting and only 2 are on time, we're starting. Because it's actually helped in the last year or so for people to realize actually we are starting on time, so I will be on time. So people are on time now, and then just commit. I think just commit to you and others to be on time. I think it's really important. Now, the next thing we'll do is, because it is the end of the year, we picked a question from you that is super relevant. And the question was, how do I go about planning for 2020? So how can I plan?
Good question.
It's great, super timely. So I want to give you sort of 3 steps with 3 questions under each of them, and one for the last one. So there are sort of 3 phases of when we do our planning, and we've already done the planning for next year now. And the first phase is the review phase. And you can do this with your team too, where we look at what were our biggest accomplishments. So number 1, what are our biggest achievements? What are we celebrating? Number 2, what were some of our biggest challenges? So what were a few things that we were maybe challenged by? And then number 3, what were a few things that we learned? And again, this is a really good team activity to do, or in your departments if you have a larger business. So that's first phase, review phase. Second phase is the visioning phase. And again, I'm going to give you 3 questions here. So first question is, what is your bigger picture vision? Say 3 years. And you probably already have that, but maybe look at it again. Has anything changed? Are you needing to adjust something? So 3 years first. Second one is 1 year. So now looking at this year ahead, 2020, what is my vision for this year coming up? What is my theme? And then last one, third part is now quarterly goals. For the first quarter, January to March, what are my goals for that? What do I want to do in the first quarter specifically to achieve my yearly vision, to help me achieve my 3-year vision? Can you see how it goes? You go big and then you go down into the quarter.
And on this one, because I know sometimes when presenting this kind of structure to business people, they might go, why do I need to look back? So I was just thinking it's really good what you've suggested in terms of looking back so that you highlight what really worked for you so that you're aware of what you want to maybe focus on doing more in the future. What do you think on the goals thing? Because everybody does goals. So you mentioned with the quarterly thing and we hear goals. But so say you do the next quarter, what are some examples of things you reckon people should be looking at being the end of the year that should be kind of goals to area on, like a revenue goal, or is it specific stuff like the looking at your branding, or new customer inquiries or promotions or social media, or what are
so that's now the third phase. So we looked at the review, visioning, and now the third phase. I promised you 3 pieces. The third phase is now you create an action plan, and in your action plan you take those quarterly goals and you chunk them down. So actually we will give you a template that you can use for that. We'll make it available on that page where you can see this video. And so the action plan, basically you then take a goal, and you would definitely have a revenue goal. So what is a target? You might have a goal for how many leads or new inquiries you would like, how many website visits. Let's say I want to have 20% more website visitors. Okay, what do I need to do to achieve that? I need to do a campaign maybe on Instagram, and maybe need to reach out to some partners, etc. Then you might have another goal, which is you want to have 2 really good collaborations, brand collaborations. What are my steps for that? First, I need to make a list of potential collaborators. Secondly, I look at if I have any connections to some of them. Thirdly, I'll draft a really good email or a letter, for example. So you take your top goals, your top priorities for the quarter. You only need 3 or 4, you don't need that many, and then break it down into smaller pieces. And then that becomes your quarterly plan. So that's nice. How I suggest you do it. And we'll make that framework available also on the page.
Awesome. Sounds super duper cool. Now I've got that was supposed to be super duper. Now I've got a little book recommendation.
Awesome.
I read this book. It was recommended to me by someone.
It's really old, is it?
Can't remember who. I don't know how old it actually is.
18?
And
1995.
I didn't know really anything about it, and I read it and I liked it. It's called Double Your Profits in 6 months or less. 78 ways to cut costs, increase sales, and dramatically improve your bottom line. The title sounds like I'm not the most impressed by kind of big statements like this, because marketers use them all the time to kind of get people's attention, like you see on social media. 10 times your revenue in 3 months, and it's like, come on, man.
This design doesn't do it any favor either, because it's so ugly. I reckon if they just did a really nice design.
It's a book recommendation, not a bash.
I know. But imagine, but it's a quick exercise.
Was that good in 95 design though? That's like Word 95.
I don't know, but imagine, it's ugly. Imagine if they had this title, which is average, but with a really nice design.
I think
it would only make you feel differently.
The title would have been probably cutting edge in its day. Double your profits in 6 months or less. But in terms of that, I'm not suggesting it in terms of the title, because a lot of people make all these big claims. And I read the book, and I don't think I doubled profits in 6 months or less reading the book, obviously, and applying these things. However, they are really good. There's really good practical tips. It's 78 ways. So it's these tiny little short chapters, where basically the way I read it was I would read a chapter per week and just focus on that for that week. So sometimes I would blitz a few more because some of the chapters are only 1 or 2 pages, but I might go, because if I read like 10 or 15 different tips, then I'm like, okay, I'll work on 1 or 2 and I forget about all the rest. So there's some things in there a little repetitive, but just, things like no cost is too small to worry about, and it gives examples of getting right into the nitty gritty and just looking at the costs and where you're spending. So a good little practical book with lots of practical little tips that you can apply in there in terms of increasing revenue and reducing waste in your business. So an excellent, I think,
great book to read also at the beginning of the year, I think, or end of the year.
Yeah.
Now we are going to finish up with a word of wisdom, and the word of wisdom is more an invitation, and the invitation is to bring our best self to 2020. I always do think, we do this every day, hopefully, or every week or month. We look at how can we be better, but even more so at the beginning of a year, thinking about how can I bring my best self to this year, 2020. And so a few questions, 3 questions that you might want to ponder and maybe journal on. One is, how can I add more value? So in your business, entrepreneurship is all about adding value and solving problems. So we already are hopefully adding value with our businesses. Now, maybe you can ask yourself, how can I add more value in my business to my customers? Secondly, think again about what legacy you want to leave. So what legacy do I want to leave? And the third question which goes with that is, how do you want to be remembered? And I think we spoke about this, I've definitely also done it. I don't know if you've done it, but you can even be a little bit morbid if you want and write your own eulogy. Is it called a eulogy?
I haven't done that.
I have done it.
Spooked by it, just hearing it.
I've basically written a speech about, I don't know where I put it, it's a while ago, but about what I would like my best friend, for example, to say about me when I'm leaving. And it sort of makes you, and it's a little bit morbid, but it makes you just have more clarity on what do I want to be remembered for, so that I can then show up in a way that I will be remembered in that way. And so the second part is, so bring your best self, ask yourself these 3 questions. Second part is set intentions. So some people set New Year's resolutions, which is cool. I like to set intentions at the beginning of the year, and intentions are just asking myself, how do I want to show up? And then I write those intentions in a present way, as in if it's happening, because it hopefully is happening. So it could be, I am generous, or I am kind, or I always have an open heart, or I am patient, which is one that I need to learn. I am on time, so it's basically setting a few intentions of how you want to show up in the world, so that you then will be remembered later on as that human that is your best human version. That's it. Do you like it?
Yeah, I think there's some awesome tips and strategies to use, definitely for the last, end of the year.
Yeah.
Before we head into 2020, can you believe it already?
I know, it's amazing.
So a lot of cool things happening around here in 2020. We have planned. We've got the experience, which is coming up. It will already be, it's already live now. The promotions and things. So that's our annual event that we run in Manly, and basically it sells out every year. Last year it sold out just in the early bird promotions. So if you want to grab a spot with that, we'll make sure there's a link somewhere here. And that's the 2 and a bit days with the Basic Bananas team, sharing what they're doing that's working behind the scenes in terms of the latest and greatest in marketing and productivity and systems and so on, and team, and how we create team happiness and all this stuff. It's an epic event if you want to check that one out, and definitely I'd suggest grabbing a spot while the early bird's running, so you get a lower cost seat. And it's a good thing to do to bring team, right? Totally. It's a cool way to get your team excited, always training and getting them motivated to be working on new things. The whole team's there, we're there the whole time, talking and interacting and helping with specifics of your business and the attendees' businesses. So check that one out. That's the experience. And hopefully looking forward to an epic year and New Year's and parties over the New Year silly season.
Yeah, and we'll see you in 2020. Have an amazing break if you're taking a break. Hopefully you are. Bye for now.
Great job, guys. That energy was... No, it actually was.